Hey guys, today we're talking about the Chateau Laurier, a wedding venue located in Ottawa, Ontario, right in the heart of the city. So when you walk into the Chateau Laurier, it almost feels like you're walking into like a time capsule and it takes you back to like 1923. You walk in the front doors of this venue and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. First thing I'm gonna talk about is getting ready. What's funny is I've probably, every single time I've shot a get ready at the Chateau Laurier, they weren't even having their wedding there. A lot of the time they would have their wedding there and then they would travel to somewhere else to actually have their wedding. But then there's other weddings I've had where they didn't get ready at the Chateau Laurier, but they had their whole wedding at the Chateau Laurier. If you're gonna get ready at the Chateau Laurier, their rooms are beautiful. They have a lot of windows, a lot of big windows. A lot of the lighting that comes in here makes it so that when you do like getting ready photos, you don't get like weird color cast or stuff like that. You know, there's obviously a lot of different rooms in this venue, but any room I've shot in this place has been great in terms of lighting and just getting natural skin tones and stuff like that. Sometimes when you're in some hotels, the windows aren't big enough or the light doesn't travel around the room properly and then you get weird color casts and stuff like that. And if you want great get ready photos, this is definitely a spot where you're not going to be disappointed. So one thing I wanted to address is the ceremony situation at the Chateau Laurier. So I haven't shot a wedding myself at the Chateau Laurier when it comes to the ceremony. But I've seen other wedding videographers do it where they have the wedding and it's outside, like on the veranda essentially, which that looks super nice. And I've seen it other ways done, and I can show you guys a few different scenarios here. If you do want to have your wedding, like your entire wedding in this one spot, I've seen a lot of people, what they do is they'll go get married in a church and then they'll come to the Chateau Laurier. But if you did want to get married at the Chateau Laurier, there's that option as well. First room I'd like to talk about is the ballroom. So the ballroom is probably the most popular room I would say that I see get booked at the Chateau Laurier, mainly because of its size. It holds a lot of people could be put into this room. The ballroom has like these massive like 18-foot ceilings with these chandeliers, and then the top of the ceiling almost looks like if you walked into a Catholic church and they have like the design on the ceiling. And it almost feels like you're walking into like an episode of Bridgerton. If you guys have seen that show, I have not, but my brother won't stop talking about it. So in terms of dance floor, there's a lot of space. Never seen people not have enough space for a dance floor, DJ. The sound travels very nicely in this room, depending on where you put your DJ, but I've seen it in the center, I've seen it off to the right, and I've never felt like, oh, I'm at the back of the room, I can't hear anything. Like the sound travels very nice in this room. You could literally walk in this room and it's gonna feel like you're in a Disney wedding. Like it just has an aesthetic to it that I've seen a lot of different kind of setups with florals and stuff like that where it kind of matches a bit of everything. The next room I want to talk about is the Laurier rooms. The cool thing about this room is that it does have windows off to the left. The windows are facing Parliament Hill. So you get, I would say that side of the building, I've noticed you get a lot of good light. If natural light is something you're worried about, you get plenty of good natural light coming through the side of the building. So this is a good space for a mid-sized wedding. You still have a lot of space. I've seen bride and groom do a full entrance with drums and everything, and there's been a lot of space for people even to sit at their tables, and then people are coming in with the drums, and there was a lot of space. In terms of a DJ and sound, the sound travels in this room, pretty much encapsulates this room because of its size. It's more shaped like a square, whereas the ballroom shaped like a big rectangle. So in terms of lighting, sound, all that kind of stuff, you're pretty much covered, everything's good. You still have the high ceilings like you would in the ballroom. Outside of the ballroom and the Laurier room is this long hallway, so a lot of people during cocktail hour, that's kind of where they'll hang out. They usually have like bartenders set up in the hallway, and then people come through with hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that, and appetizers. That's kind of like where you would spend your cocktail hour. I'm gonna talk about portraits, but it kind of falls into the first look as well if you do decide to have one. First spot I want to talk about is just off to the left side of the Chateau Laurier. There's this spot here. It's like a, I guess you could call it a veranda. Is it a veranda? I think that's the right word. It's like the space where there's a little ledge and down below is the water. To the left of you is Parliament. So you get a picture facing that area, you're gonna see Parliament. Hopefully it's not under construction when you shoot, but as of right now, I think we're okay. This whole area here just almost feels like you're in Europe. And one underrated feature about this area is in the daytime, it looks great, but if you shoot there during magic hour, the sun, for some reason, always seems to set like on the side of where Quebec is. So you kind of use that as your backlight coming in, and you get some really, really dreamy photos if you do it there. And then also during the fall, all the trees near Parliament Hill, those kind of change color too as well, so that looks really cool. I love to get shots here of couples just walking. If you wait for little pockets, little moments, you can almost make it seem like you guys are the only people there, but I guess it just depends on what day you go and the time frame that you go. But so the next location I'm going to talk about is behind the Chateau Laurier. There's this big open green space. So you have this a lot of grass, and then there's some trees, some brush, and then the background is essentially the Chateau Laurier, the building. Or if you turn kind of to the right, your background will be actually Parliament Hill. So this is a great space to do family photos. You can kind of keep everyone in this area on deck. There's not usually too many tourists or people like hanging around this area. So I think it's a good space to be able to, you're able to kind of just conduct your family members, all that kind of stuff. This is also a great spot for portraits if you just want something a little different, because I think a lot of the other spots that I'm talking about around this area, they don't include a lot of greenery. So this is one spot where if you do want portraits with a little bit of nature aspect to it, this is a good spot to do it. The next spot I'm gonna talk about is off to the right side of the Chateau Laurier, and it's like this, I don't really know how to explain this spot. It's like they have like this spot where cars pull in, and then there's like this covering, and then like these pillars and stuff like that. It just has like a vibe to it. The whole side of the building there has like this ledge and the street, and it feels like you're, once again, like you're in a time capsule and you're just somewhere else. If it's a really bright sunny day and really hot, this is a great space to do bridal party photos, or if you want to do some portrait photos and you can't handle the sun beaming, then this is a good spot where the sun is usually not beaming because it's in between two buildings. Next spot I want to talk about, it's in front of the Chateau Laurier, in front of the building. There's like these stairs, and there's two ways to go down it. And then you come down the middle, and then down there it's like this little tunnel almost, and it has little pockets. There's a lot of like interesting light kind of peeking through this tunnel area, and then also with the steps and stuff like that. And I found like it's just a bit different from when you're on street level. I guess depending on how ambitious you want to be around this area, keep walking down the street towards Parliament. There's like older buildings there, and some of them have like cool doors in the front, and the courthouse is kind of under construction right now, but this was also a cool spot where I did a style shoot, and I got shots there as well. And then I also did the style shoot where we made our way from the Supreme Court of Canada all the way up to the Chateau Laurier, and we got like little pockets here where we got these cool shots in different little spots, but I think it made for a cool like elopement city wedding vibes. If that is your vibe, then I think that around this area that's accessible within like a 10-minute walk, there's a lot of cool spaces that you can get portraits. So I would say if you're looking to have more of a luxury wedding, a chic, elegant wedding, I think the Chateau Laurier is a great place. I hope this video was somewhat insightful for you guys. If you guys have any specific questions about this wedding venue, let me know in the comments, and happy wedding planning.